Hi everyone, I'm Mindy Eggen and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing some foiling using a fun new product from Thermoweb. You can use a laminator or your die cutting machine. Let's get started. Here's a look at the card projects that I will be making today. I have 4 cards because this is really super simple. Now for foiling using a laminator or in this case also a die cutting machine, this type of foil is different than if you were using a Glimmer Hot foil system. These are 2 totally different foils. This type of foiling sticks to toner. So these are pre-printed designs and it's a specialty type of foil. So I just want to make sure and note that. This first sheet that I'm going to show you here is called Birthday Bliss. Now, all of these are very similar, just different themes, and they are adhesive sheets. So it's clear, it's printed on acetate or a specialty acetate, not really sure, but they're printed. And on the back of these is a film that we will need to remove. I will walk you through this numerous times, step by step, to show you how this works. The main thing I want to make sure to point out is do not remove that adhesive sheet on the back until you are ready to place this onto your project. We don't want hair or dust particles getting on there. So those were the 3 new designs. You are also going to need carrier sheets. These are what we're going to put our card projects in to run through our laminator or die cutting machine. Now I have some here that I trimmed down to fit my A2 size card bases, or it's actually a little bit bigger. And then these are some fancy foils that are from Gina K Designs and Thermoweb. And I also have them in rolls that is Deco foil. So these all work the same. I will be using the mini MINC machine to do all of my foiling. You can use any laminator that you may have. I prefer this one because it heats up super quick and I like to save as much time as possible. So I switched it on in the back and I'm pressing that gold button to put it on setting 3. Now it's going to blink red until it's ready to be hot, and it really only takes maybe 20-30 seconds. I didn't time it, but it's super quick. So once that turns green, that means it's nice and hot and ready to go. I'm going to start you off on just a simple sentiment to show you how this works. So on this sheet, I'm just trimming off one of the sentiments. This one's going to say thank you for being a friend. And I'm going to take that and I'm placing it onto some white cardstock. Now this one is 80-pound cardstock. I've also used the layering weight cardstock from Gina K Designs. Now see, I'm peeling back this film. So you have your words facing up just like you would read it. You peel back that film and place this on your card project. Make sure it's nice and straight if you don't plan on cutting this out. So I'm just going to make sure that's straight across the card. I actually end up being a little crooked, but I'm cool with it. Tap it down just a little bit. Place this in your carrier sheet. Now I'm bringing this to my mini MINC machine. I have that in that carrier sheet. Make sure that your folded edge is what is going into that machine. That way nothing is catching and going to get stuck inside the machine, and just let the machine pull that through. So I'll remove that carrier sheet, pull out my project, and now we're going to peel this back. Now what confused me at first is that the writing on this sheet is still black. That black isn't transferring off. What is transferring off is an adhesive. So don't let that fool you like it almost did me. So this is really hard to see on camera. And actually when I was working on it, I kind of had to tilt it and get down to see, different lighting to help see where it went. Now I'm taking some gold foil. This is just some gold deco foil, trimmed off something that's a little bit bigger than what I needed. I'm going to place it over the top. And it's shiny side up, very important. Place that back in the carrier sheet, folded side goes in first, and run that through my mini MINC machine. So now when I take that out of that carrier sheet, I'm going to just carefully peel back that foil, and this is going to have those words, and these were pretty delicate words. They're pretty small. I was quite impressed. So we're going to peel back that foil to reveal our sentiment. Now you can trim this out. You can use a die if you want to maybe put it with a shape. I'm going to leave it just as is for right now. And then here is our other piece that I believe you may be able to use with toner sheets that Thermoweb sells. Here's a close-up look of that gorgeous foiling. Now, like I said, this is way different than using hot foil plates, so I just want to make sure to point that out. I'm going to quickly finish off this card for you, and I am using the Watercolor Floral Ephemera pack from Gina K Designs. I'm just arranging the flowers and some leaves here on my front. I did trim this down. It's still going to be 5.5 inches, but I trim the sides of it, so it's going to be a panel strip down the front of my card. Now, this ephemera was part of a kit that Gina has, which currently at the time of the video is sold out, but be sure to click the join wait list so you're notified when things come back into stock or when it's available again. So I placed some press and seal over my arrangement so that everything stayed in place, and then just carefully peeled that up. I'm going to just trim around that press and seal. I don't need that much hanging in my way, and it's just a lot easier to place it back onto my card front when I don't have all that excess. To help make sure that these are all secured down, I'm taking some of my Connect glue that I have in these little glue tube bottles and just placing little dots of glue from the back just to kind of help secure it because they are pretty delicate. And then I added foam squares behind my arrangement. Some of those leaves and things were pretty small, so I just kept my foam squares to the flowers and then attached that to the front of my panel, and I can carefully peel back my press and seal. I'm going to also use the Watercolor Floral paper pack from Gina K Designs, and I just kind of flipped through and found a background that I really liked. A lot of these are just super pretty and would have worked. I fell in love with this mosaic type of background. So I trimmed that piece down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I added double-sided foam to the back of my panel, and then I'm placing this on top of that pattern paper. And I think this may be one of my favorite cards that I created out of it. It just has this beautiful floral arrangement, this nice shiny gold foiled sentiment at the bottom, and that kind of light gray paper in the background. To finish it off, I'm going to add some embellishments. So I have some of the Gina K Designs clear quartz sequins. They're just kind of like a confetti type of sequins. There's no hole in the middle. And I'm attaching them around my floral arrangement with my Connect glue and my embellishment wand. Next, I'm going to work on a birthday card, and I'm going to combine these with some previously released products from Thermoweb. So once again, I'm trimming out whatever design or sentiment that I want. This one is going to be birthday themed. So I have a panel of white cardstock. I removed that backing. It's just kind of like a clear acetate piece. You'll be able to tell when you start peeling at it. Now this time I'll show you how to do it with your die cut machine in case you don't have a laminator. So I have my cardstock and I have my sandwich in my die cutting machine just like I would if I were die cutting. I put my carrier sheet on top because my plates are really dirty and I didn't want to get the front of my cardstock all full of little bits. So now I ran that through, and I'm going to place some Twinkling Pink fancy foil on top. So I placed it on top. This time I'm putting it in my carrier sheet and running that through my die cut machine. So just check your sandwiches for your die cut machine. However you would die cut regular dies, that's the sandwich I use to do this. And really all it is applying pressure to make sure that that foil is sticking to that adhesive that we have on the front of the card. And just remember with your foil, it's always pretty side up. So there is my sentiment. Now I'm going to create my background, and this is using the Foil Mates Hot Dots. I believe they're over at Gina K Designs. Now these are pre-printed panels. So this is trimmed to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have a piece of that Twinkling Pink trimmed to a little bit bigger, and I ran that through my mini MINC machine. Now I don't know if you can use these with your die cutting machine, so I used them with my laminator to make sure. And now that I peeled that back, I have these gorgeous Twinkling Pink sparkly dots all over my background. To tone that down a little bit, I am ink blending over this entire panel with Passionate Pink ink from Gina K Designs. Did you know you could ink blend on top of foil? Very, very pretty, and just helps kind of get more out of foiling. Now, because it resists the ink, I'm just wiping over that with a paper towel. And now I'm going to work on the sentiment here. So I have the Master Layouts 9 that has this circle die. Any shape, any shape that you have for a die will work for this. I just really liked the circle. I took my ink blended and foiled panel and I trimmed it down to 4 by 5 1/4 and adding it to a white card front or card panel that is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, just using my tape runner. And here I added some foam squares behind my die cut out sentiments. We have a very sparkly, very pink birthday card, which would be wonderful to give to someone. And now watch when I tilt this in my light and how much sparkle these have. Gina has a whole array of colors in these twinkling type of foils. The fancy foils is what they're called. Now I have a couple more that I want to show you and how I just put the cards together for it. The cards actually went pretty quick to put together. This is a larger one that I'm placing in the center of my card panel. I always kind of make sure to have enough room in case I want to die cut them out. So I have that pushed down. I ran it through my mini MINC or my die cutting machine, peel back that sheet so the adhesive is exposed, and then place my foil on top. Now, you can also do this on colored cardstock, which makes this really great. Now, I probably should have used a silver for this, and I'll tell you, foiling is so hard to photograph. It is so much more beautiful in person because you really get the shine of everything, but in photographs, it is so hard to capture it. Now I'll walk you through how I finish these cards off. So my sentiment I die cut out with this beautiful panel from the Master Layouts 10 set. And I also die cut out a bunch of the foliage fillers from Jelly Bean Green, I think it was Turquoise Sea, and then Tranquil Teal. And I added little bits of adhesive to the stems and then placed that all around my die cut sentiment. Now I also cut about 2 or 3 more of those shapes from the Master Layouts 10 and layered it behind it to kind of give it a finished look on the back so it was easier for me to attach to a card front. And since I have so much going on, I just used tape runner. I didn't add any foam squares. Then I'll just trim off any of that excess that's hanging off. So this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card front. So I'm super happy with how this one came out. Now the last one I'm going to show you is just quickly putting together a card. Like I said, you can do this on colored cardstock, which, like I said, I think is really versatile. So you can really pick and choose what you want your sentiment to be on. This one, I trimmed that sentiment down just into a thin strip, and I'm adding it to a card front where I had die cut out some of those botanicals from, I think it's Botanical Duo from Gina K Designs. I die cut them out of some mirror gold cardstock and just added them to the front. So here's another look at the card projects I created today using the Thermoweb adhesive transfer sheets. I had to think about that. So you can use your hot foil, your laminator, or your die cutting machine to do this. Not only do these create amazing projects quickly, they are super affordable. I will have all of the supplies listed down below in my video description and over on my blog as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.